So I ended up watching Dhurandhar about yesterday, and it's been like more than 12 hours. And there's, of course, I'm talking about Dhurandhar Part 2, just to be clear. So I wanted to, I don't know why I waited this much, but I was like, let this movie sink in. And I will definitely talk a little bit about spoilers here, and I probably a lot about spoilers, so if you're not ready, please you can leave. But even without saying spoilers first, I will say that for someone like me who loves great story writing, the movie, if you just watch it and if you just come out of that movie, you don't really like it that much. But when that movie sinks in you, when you spend like 12 hours, when you sleep a whole night, then you understand that the story did have a lot of depth. But yes, of course, you were anticipating so much from a movie like that that the depth sometimes that it was not up to your expectations, especially when you just watched it and when you just come out of your theater. So there things go completely different. So okay, so let's think about it briefly. Why I said that the movie doesn't fill up to my expectations is that at many places movie takes a very shortcut and very easy path, and there are a lot of montages, and those montages are it just gets very, very, very sloppy, and and even the other thing about the movie is that it is politically taking a side, and it completely is it becomes like a very sloppy way to tell your side of the story. Like, everyone has a side of their story, and there's not an issue about that. If you believe in an ideology, I also believe in an ideology. Everyone believes in an ideology, and I even respect their ideology. But the problem is that it actually is very, very, very very just very simple. It is not at all, there is no subtlety up there. Whereas cinema as an art form is supposed to be very subtle, and you're not even at some places you have to be very clear, but sometimes you have to be because cinema, if you're not subtle about it, it becomes very what do you say, it doesn't make the same impact if you're too loud. And their political viewpoint was too loud in part 2, whereas part 1 was a little bit subtle, and it was going very cleanly. Okay, but that being said, I really respect the director Aditya Dhar, and the reason I do this is because he was able to tell a nice story. He was able to tell a unique story, and especially after I slept after watching the movie, I realized that it is very special what he did. It is not something that anyone can do. Nowadays, this kind of stories are not written. Nowadays everything is very highly recycled, and so people like Paul Thomas Anderson, people like, now I'm gonna take these both names in one place, but and I know they both come from completely different viewpoints and completely different cinematic experience and everything, but still people like Paul Thomas Anderson, people like Aditya Dhar, they are able to tell stories that are so unique even today. It's such a commendable job. It is excellent. I really respect this director, that he is not just using the same old stories again and again. He gave them a really good touch, and he blended the reality. Now, the other thing that I did not like about the movie is that it blended reality and fiction, but sometimes it got too fictitious, and that it was it was just laughable. It was should I say that, man? For example, they are trying to assassinate a person, and what happens there is that they have they have it on, they troll somebody on video while they are doing that. And honestly, it doesn't really happen like that. Like, we all know it doesn't happen like that in real life. It is very, very, very realistic, and you have to be very quick with these things, like, because anything can happen, anyone can come anywhere. If you have a plan, you have to be very quick with that plan, like, but they take their time. And there is a video call during assassination that was very, very laughable. And even, like, for example, there's an agent, and that agent is up there on top of a place where he is having pictures spread across the media all over the globe. And that agent, if he's a spy agent, it's a very dangerous thing for him, because people can recognize him from any country, especially from his own country. People can recognize him, and they can, if there is a bad and if there is a malignant human being who is like, this guy, I need to report this guy, and this report goes somewhere, the whole operation will be jeopardized. So if a spy has to be very, very, very hidden, like, extremely hidden. Means it's very rare that spies are, like this. Means there have been spies that have been like, means like that Israeli spy that, they had, like, who in 1950s or 60s, that was then later on unfortunately executed. That spy, he was very easily moving across places, but at the same time, most of the spies, you have to be extremely hidden, and it means not as like you don't have to be scared, but you definitely have to be sure that you are not in any, like, what do you say, you're not in any, like, place where your picture will be taken by all the media across the world, like, because it's very easy for any bad human being to report you, and your whole operation will be completely destroyed. So that is just, like, it was not really that well put, but but again, as I said, I will say it again and again, that we need to respect this guy for what he did. Like, we need to to tell a story that is so unique and that has so many, like, aspects, and it's a beautiful, it's an amazing job done by him and the whole team. They all deserve a lot of respect and a lot of appreciation for what they did. Acting is good. The movie, now we will talk about the runtime. It is a 4-hour 5-minute long movie, like, and the movie really doesn't feel like that, because there are so many things happening. It means you realize that there's a lot of time being spent on things, and you are spending a lot of time in the theater. You realize that, like, in some movies you just forget, like for example, One Bachelor After Another, you just forgot that there is anything, like, any concept of time, because you are just so involved. The same thing about Dune Part 2, like, you don't even remember how 2.5 hours went, like, they just go so fast. But here you do realize that there is time going on, but at the same time the movie is extremely fast, so it doesn't bore you at all. And the music of the movie is, I was like, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, the music might not be as good as the last part of the movie, but the music is actually better than the last part, and the original songs are just much better here. And also the guy who the remixes that they made is also really nice. And then another thing that they did, at the very end, there is a song, like, in the climax, that that has been played, and that is also a beautiful song. Like, that song was the most beautiful song I've heard in, like, recent years in the theaters. Like, it's just a beautiful song. So music was excellent, the speed of the movie was excellent, But then comes another thing with the speed that is very important, that the characters were not given proper time. Like sometimes it felt like they are rushing up with the dialogues. There is not enough, like, means, like in all the great movies, like in One Battle After Another, like in all the great, like I'm talking about it because last year that was the best movie. Even like, means you say like whatever great movie you take, they they give gaps for people to associate with the character. But here a character spoke a dialogue, even the villain, he spoke a dialogue, and then things just go fast. Like Arjun Rampal, like I'm talking about specifically, they try to give him a little bit more humane vibe this time, and and then at the same time, means they give him dialogues, they give him they give him a bad story. But what happens is that unfortunately, even when they give him all the time, they don't really pause. There are no pauses that that he's going to have a little emotional scene, means it's just very just it's just very, like, what do you say, it's just going like a train, like a high-speed train, like a bullet train. So generally in the movies you have to give characters pauses where they where they talk and they think. Even in a fast-paced movie, like even in Oppenheimer, even in like all the fast-paced movies, even in Avengers, man, like the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, they wait, the dialogues are being spoken properly, and then they wait for people to so I think this director, he doesn't have his unique quality. It means everything else he knows filmmaking really well, and it is such a big ordeal. I was just thinking that how difficult it must have been to make a movie like this in a country like India, means where it's very rare that you come up with new ideas. Like they are always recycling old ideas. Now of course it is a spy movie, so there have been spy movies before everywhere around the world, so of course there have been, so I'm not saying that it's a completely unique idea, but what he did, and the way he expanded on the story of a normal, like of a normal spy that goes to another country, and the way he expanded on that story and all the characters nearby, it was phenomenal to watch. And it just doesn't feel ever that like for example a chapter comes, and the chapter doesn't feel like it's like a 30 minutes chapter or 40 minutes chapter. So it's a very quick movie. Then also, what else was there that I was gonna talk about? Yes, the speed was good. I think everything is here as far as we know. Sometimes the movie, of course, like I said already, that because they have made it into a real movie, and especially with the real events, like they try to add and connect everything with the real events, then the movie sometimes just goes to a very unrealistic way, and that is not supposed to be the way, especially when you're making a movie that realistic. Of course you have to take cinematic liberties, but yes, then again, you have to be very for the sake of God, man, be a nice what else, like the ideology we already talked about, the runtime we talked about, the music, again, amazing music, man, amazing work being done. What else was there that I wanted to especially say? Of course, the most important actor that was there in the last movie, and we all know who is he, and he was not here in this part, and he was the best actor, man. Like in this part, all other actors have gotten proper chance, and everything has been done properly, but still, like Akshay Khanna was the best actor, like all of them. Means amazing, man. Like that guy, even with such a small role, he stole the show. He completely stole the show. So yeah, if I summarize everything, this is what we are all on. But that the movie is of course good. It's a very, especially up to the Indian movie standards, it is the top notch of the filmmaking. But yes, they should have worked on character pauses, and the way characters are made to means you have to sometimes slow down the story. So I know that will be, people don't have attention spans anymore, but you have to sometimes slow down the movie, and you have to when somebody says a dialogue, then they have to you have to, especially when you're trying to humanize a bad human being. But then at the same time, I think he just really did not want to humanize him. He just wanted to wanted him to be the way he was, like the way he portrayed him at the end of the day. It was all like that. So okay, so yes, the action was also, I loved the action of the movie, without any question. The action was very clear, clean, and it was not like they are just doing anything, means it was not completely senseless and illogical. It was perfectly well put. Like the action was very well made. What else are we talking about here today? Yes, I hope he makes more better movies. I'm very happy that they have concluded this story, and there will not be a part 3 of this, because I just don't want to see a part 3, because it's the same story, man. He's a spy who's going to another country, and it's the same thing. But if you remove some of these small problems with the movie is just perfect, and just the only thing that they should have worked on, but the writing is really good, so one must need to learn from the writing, but a little bit more writing could have been more subtle, at this. I hope he did not want to be subtle, I don't know, but you have to be subtle in filmmaking. It's that kind of an art, so you have to be subtle. That's it for now. I think I've spoken up on almost all the important points. If you think about the movie after coming then you really like it. If you think about the movie after some time, you really love it. That's amazing. So that's an amazing thing. At first you might be like, oh my god, this movie was very repetitive at many points, and you're like, yes, the storytelling structure of this part was very linear, and we are not habitual of linear anymore. We are habitual of twists and turns, and non-linear storytelling, especially like what Christopher Nolan has mastered. And one needs to, man, Christopher Nolan writing is just an addiction. Means whatever he makes just is going to come with Odyssey too. So yeah, but yes, but non-linear has become the norm nowadays in this world of storytelling. So but I don't know, did he just purposely did it, or did he not do it? But yes, most of the theories that people were making, those all theories went wrong, because they went for something more simpler. Like for example, there was going to be a very big political angle with the death of Jaskirat's family, but it is not. The angle was not political, and I'm going to give now heavy spoiler. The heaviest spoiler is that I'm really happy that in the end, most of the good people are alive, because I don't want to see a bad ending, because we all have seen sad endings also many times, and I'm happy that they keep everyone alive, even the family of the Jaskirat, only the father is dead, but everyone else is alive, and that is just wow, man, that more than enough. The same thing about the end of the movie. They made it a little ambiguous that what is he gonna do, and I feel that that is just so useless. Like, he has to meet his family, and he has to go to his mission or debriefing or something like that. The thing is that, come on, man, like, who cares, man? Just go and meet your family, because they know that, they know how the life of a soldier is. Like, your family has lived with a soldier already. Your father was a soldier, so they will understand, and they will keep it a secret. It's not going to have any problem with your mission, man. Just go and meet them for 5 minutes. Like, there was no need to have it like an ambiguous ending. You don't have to end it in an ambiguous way. You should have, he should have let him go there and talk. Because, like, what kind of sacrifice are you even making at this moment? Like, you already did your job, you already did it perfectly, you already completely destroyed everything, and so yeah, now you come to meet your family, but they left it ambiguous that, oh, no, is he going to go to meet his family, or is he going to go back? And I understand this point. I understand that people like that ambiguity, but who cares, man? Just let him, just let him go inside, and just let him have for few moments, and then show him growing again, like in the movie Batman, or in the movie The Dark Knight Rises. Like, people say that, oh no, he might be dreaming or something, but Alfred was not dreaming anything. It is made clear by Alfred only. So like, you don't have to make everything very poetic or something like that. Some places the cinematography was excellent. Some places the music, as I already said, the music is just top notch. I did not expect the music to be that good, but it is actually much better than the part 1. I thought that the part 1 will have a better music, but the part 2 had a better music, without any question. The other thing that happens is that the journey of the hero in this part is extremely simple, and it cannot be like that. Like, in the movie, especially modern days, you have to give him problems, and in this part the villains are just losing. Like, they don't get any upper hand, and that's not how people like it in the movie. Like, in a movie, people want that thrill, that adventure in a story, that ups and downs, that this is happening, that is happening. So that was one issue with this. Rest everything, we are good, man. I respect this guy for making such an original movie. I really respect him, man. I really means to make a movie like this, to even think of a concept like this. Like, you can think of a concept of a spy, and that is completely okay. But you giving him that kind of a whole, even the backstory is so properly written. The backstory is so properly made. But yes, they could have extended that backstory to a little bit more political angle, and it would have looked really well, man. But they already did a lot of things in the movie, so but yeah, I just wish that they had worked on this, negatives. They had not done what they did, and especially it looked like at some places it looked like, and unfortunately that at some places it looked like he's becoming a political sycophant, the filmmaker. It should not be like that. Means praising is one thing, and everyone makes movies like that. Even Christopher Nolan made Dunkirk, and so of course, Dunkirk is more about British patriotism. Patriotism is one thing, but it looked like very political, one-angled movie. I understand, and I respect, I respect the politics that he was trying to tell, but it's not all the time like this. Means there are good people and bad people everywhere. So that's the way it goes. But yeah, it's less about political. They should have shown it as the people in the intelligence agencies themselves taking initiatives and doing things. Like, it's less politics and more people, more the bureaucracy, that changes things. It would have looked much better. So, but the movie is just awesome, especially if you think about it. So that's it. I'm gonna sign off. Thank you everyone for listening. If you are still here, thank you.